Alright, hello everybody, Skyrain here, back again with another Diablo Immortal video. Weekly reset time is upon us again, but also, in this case, time to check the mail and collect all the things here. As we can see, Battlegrounds season is officially over. And this is what I did in it. I started to really taper off at the end from mostly burnouts from the meta. The meta being what it is, and I'm going to discuss some of that here going forward. So first of all, there it is. Begin new season. Yes, please. New season stats back down to bronze. Probably back into bot matches for a time, which is fine. It's whatever. It's best to honestly get those done as soon as possible to try to get yourself up to gold, I suppose, as soon as possible. And honestly, it'll finish the season off a lot more faster for the mass majority of players to get to legend that much quicker. So as much as we may not like the bot Battlegrounds, it has its uses, sadly enough. So that's my initial take on that. Since its introduction, there was a bit of a pushback, of course, with the majority of us in the PvP community, because we're like, why? There's players that are, we used to be put into matchups with players from all ranks before. That really shouldn't matter, but here we are. So it's just one of those things we've had to take in stride and get used to. All right, so there's that. And Battlegrounds won't be open for a little bit. Now this season runs from, well, the 10th. I joined a raid. What? Hold up. Alright, I had a little surprise invite to raid there. I forgot completely that I had signed up for one. Anyway, I got my raids knocked out for the reset for Monday, so that's cool. Alright, back around to what I was talking about Battlegrounds and everything entailing them. The new season is now upon us. And hopefully here very, very soon, we will get the new map, which I think is actually going to have a separate leaderboard, which is fine, considering they didn't start it when this season ended. That would have probably been more of an ideal thing, but of course the new map is a trial by fire as far as that goes. Again, I didn't get an invite for that at all. I didn't hear any words, nothing my direction whatsoever about it. I did see some leaks, I did see some images. I did a quick little video about it a while back and that kind of thing, and gave my thoughts on it then. So if you're curious about that, go ahead and check that one out. I go into a little bit of detail. As far as the meta goes, let me go ahead and collect the rest of my stuff here, by the way. Tower War. The Tower War's over. Oh, good. Give me my gems, please. Thank you very much. This is whatever. But yeah, Tower Wars is also over. Tower Wars Season 6 has come to an end. Collect all your things, everybody. This is just a reminder. The season has ended. Get your goodies, which mostly in this case would be the normal gems. And unfortunately, it's a lackluster amount in the grand scheme of things. But still, better than nothing at all. So this one, however, is a lot better. The Battlegrounds Season 9 has come to an end. Reached the rank of Legend, and we get this. This has been vastly improved from what it was before. 10 legendary crests. Thank you very much. This is a very, very lovely upgrade to this season end reward. It's a shame that it's not like, well, I don't want to say it's, if it was a weekly, that'd be awesome. But, that's asking for too much. I know. But still, nonetheless. Gimme, gimme, gimme. All right. And I'll probably go through and delete some of these old ones here. Because when did I actually get into Legend? The last season here. Where is it? Battleground Legend. I got into the Legend rank at, let's see, you've reached Legend and Battleground. So on the 2nd of January. So that's how quickly I got into it then, even. But they made adjustments to the end rewards, as we saw just now with the 10 crest and I think a fair amount more normal gems. But anyway, now let's get into some more meat and potatoes on this as well. My thoughts as far as what to expect in this season. The meta is still the same as it was after they fixed the monk bug, after they tweaked the necromancer scythe. back down again. We are, of course, in the Barb Tempest meta for the most part, sprinkled with Satyr, with a side of Satyr. But yeah, the Satyrs, of course, still have that going for them. However, I did hear a little bit of rumor on the wind of possibly the Yawning Rose, I think it is. There's talk of a nerf to that, so who knows how that's going to make things. Right now with Barb, there's, of course, the Hammer Smash, that kind of stuff. But there's also one where I don't know exactly what the build entails, but I have heard of it. Just in passing in the PvP discords, one that's pretty much just like one-click auto whatever, and you just kind of run around and you don't even have to do anything, which is pretty ridiculous. That in itself feels like that needs some adjustment. But again, the problem with the devs, especially any PvP game, the devs have to be on point. You have to be on point with the PvP game, or any game that has PvP in it. You cannot allow balances of such natures, bugs in the case of Monk in this particular instance for Diablo Immortal. You cannot let that stuff go on for as long as it did. And even further, you need to play test your games a little bit better. I know that's a foreign concept as far as NetEase is concerned when it comes to mobile games especially. And especially across mobile games in general. I know that's unheard of. All they do is just push, content, and unless it breaks the game from running entirely, they pretty much just sweep everything else under the rug and expect and say it and call it good. And they just move on. They just keep pushing forward. They very rarely look backwards. However, what we do need them to look backwards in is we need better essences or reworks on the essences that we currently have, because honestly we don't really need any new ones anytime remotely soon, but they're going to push them out anyway. It's more, and the problem with that is we have so many now, and a lot of them are very similar. Of course, like I said, a lot of the circle builds, the spin to win builds, so many of those are too similar for all the classes. It doesn't really give that class diversity feel, and also to that effect, a lot of the older ones need reworked to give more class diversity, build diversity. I've gone at lengths on end about this discussion, and I will constantly bring it back up because it is most valid when it comes to PvP, which there is still a hardcore player base for, even in this pay-to-win environment. But yeah, the meta going forward again in this one is still going to be the same as it was. Unfortunately, we'll have to wait and see when they finally get that new map rolled out to everybody to do and partake in. I have mixed feelings about it that I've discussed in that video already. Again, check it out. But I don't know. I'm not going to hold my breath because I'm far too, I know their score. I know the developer's score at this point, and, as far as what to expect with a lot of things. So I'm not holding my breath. I'm trying to stay as optimistic as possible, obviously, when it comes to that. And anything new is good for, a couple days or so before we say, okay, we figured this out. And believe me, the player base will. The player base will figure out what classes are the most effective in the new map and how to honestly exploit it into the ground. Give that just a couple of days, and that's being generous. A couple of days is being generous, but nonetheless, that's my take on that. But yeah, mostly Battlegrounds is still class imbalanced. People call it matchmaking, and it is still the terminology matchmaking comprises a lot of things in it, so don't get it twisted and say, oh, that's just it's a skill issue for you're not playing your class right, that kind of thing. No, it's an umbrella that encompasses a lot more than that. Whenever people mention matchmaking, it goes a little bit more, at least that's what I feel anyway, whenever somebody says matchmaking. Not always the case, mind you, yes, but for the most part it comes down to you see the matchups. There's been matchups I had where I was on attack and we were just nothing but Tempests, me myself as a wizard, and I think it's a Demon Hunters and we had one barb, but they were not a whale. They were free to play. So we had that on attack. This is for instance. And on defense, there was 6 barbs. Not kidding. 6 barbs. I think a satyr and a necro. And the necro was, I think, a golem too. So basically, we were up against all tanks on defense. They had easy street for the most part because we were all nothing but squish, and there's just no way we were going to make a proper push, no matter how hard we tried. And in those cases are, of course, the matchmaking leaning towards the forced loss on the 50-50 win rate ratio adjustment. Those kind of scenarios. You see those, you just kind of have to, put your head back and laugh and brush it off and move on, that kind of thing, as we all know. Unfortunately, that, in this day and age, they were still using a lot of algorithm software programs that they tweak to fit their games to a certain degree, and this is, again, all PvP games. But they really missed the mark, and especially in this one in particular, there's far too many variables with the pay-to-win aspect and all the various stats that we have that are completely blown out of proportion, notwithstanding, on top of that, the horrible bugs in the case of Monk that they released to the public before properly testing, of which they don't do any. And then we find that out, and of course, the players will exploit it, and rightfully so, and make use of it for what it is for as long as it did. I feel the only reason, again, coming back around to the Monk bug, is the only reason they fixed it. They probably found it in testing out the new Battlegrounds map when they seen the obscene amount it was doing damage to the structures when they were testing that map. Actually paying attention. They had no choice, but they're like, oh, wait a minute, what's wrong with this? Oh, you didn't know? Oh, you didn't know? You better call somebody. That's a old DX reference if you know what that is from wrestling. But anyway, just want to throw that in there. But yeah, they had to fix that, I think, out of that reason alone. So, and again, they said it was a bug. It never should have made it to public. It never should have made it out to the public ahead of time. And in turn, again, the monks would not have felt the nerf because there never would have been one in the first place. Yeah. Anyway, I'm getting off in too much of a soapbox tangent on that again, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up here. Hoo boy. Anyway, let me know what you think. Oh, yeah, let me, real quick, break it down. That's the Barb meta still. Tempest meta is still the usual. The Surf knock-up one, the dash and constant immunity puddle spam with the clones. And the DPS on those are still extremely high. No matter what the developers say about balancing that, I still feel like they missed the mark on those still. They're still being abused heavily, especially the immunity puzzle stacking that seems to be almost infinite with the beneficial effect durations and such. I think that needs tweaked yet again, but that's just my 2 cents on that one. But that's pretty much the mass majority of what we're going to still continue to see in the Battlegrounds for this season going forward, unless they roll out a new set of essences, which in a sense kind of sucks when they do that during a Battleground season, but at the same time it does help to mix things up. So as far as the new essences introductions go, as long as they're decent, we haven't had a good decent pair of new essences for certain classes for a very, very long time. And that in itself is an issue and still remains an issue, which is why we need to go back. They need to go back and rework the old ones, because the drop pool itself is already muddied enough. And I do believe they need to kind of narrow, like, if you don't have the essences once you reach a certain difficulty from previous difficulties, then in that case, if you're truly still essence farming on that one, you either use the loyalty bonus or you go back to that difficulty where it says it will drop in and higher and hope to get it that way. Mostly, that'd be the only proper approach, I guess, at this point going forward, especially for newer players, is stay in that essence where the highest, or where it first gets introduced. If you want those particular essences, that might be your best shot. anymore, because there's just far, far, far too many essences in our tabs at this point, in our drop pools, that it's just completely diluted. It's overly diluted. And again, that needs to be adjusted. Rework the old one. Again, recap, rework the old ones. The meta is going to be the same as it was last season still at the end of it, going into this one, until balance changes. Yeah, that's pretty much it. But anyway, let me think about all things commented here, and I am awaiting the new patch notes to go live later on today, hopefully. Of course, the partner program guys will have theirs out, probably released very, very early this morning. Unfortunately, I don't have the early drop, and I don't get the early information on that because I am not in the partner program, but nonetheless, I try to put out that as soon as possible. And I always do a cross-reference. I always do a cross-reference between the Chinese patch notes, because the global patch notes always, always, always loses things in translation. And they leave out so much, or they confuse a lot of things. So I always like to do a side-by-side comparison whenever I do those patch notes. So anyway, until then, and until next time, stay safe out there in the real world and fire, everybody. Take care of yourselves as best you can. One day at a time. It's all we can do. It's the best we can do. Holy hell, believe me. And we should have, hopefully, only until the next update when we're dealing with the daylight savings time adjustment. So hang in there as best we can. They're a little bit quicker about it this time around than they have been in the past. Sometimes it was months on end before they would adjust it, so hopefully we'll only have a matter of a couple days. But anyway, until next time, see ya.